So you want to learn Demitri in SVC Chaos. First off, welcome aboard, and this is a great start. This is one of the better characters to learn the game with, and I will happily, well obviously happily, I'm making a video on it, I will show you everything I know about this character and how to make him work, and we will start with, overall just his tier placement and pros and cons. So things like, he has great space control, great zoning, great normals, decent jump-ins, which is overall just a very strong, one of the strongest Shotos in the game, hands down. He is an extremely powerful Shoto in this game. I dare I say call him what I jokingly call a Turbo Shoto, which is just a character that's just so overtuned but has such a well-rounded toolkit that it's ridiculous. But that being said, he does have a bit of a weird matchup spread, which is like one of his flaws. I think it's like his very bizarre matchup spread, and overall it's just a we'll get to that when we get to like matchups later about like what matters, but it's all about like his height and like characters being able to like duck underneath things like his normals and fireball. But it's not unplayable, that's for sure. So don't be afraid of playing those matchups. It just know they might be a little harder. But anyway, his normals, A and B normals are basically interchangeable. They both do a lot of the same stuff. If you want lows, go for B. If you want a bit of like a longer range, go for A. They're not really like normals with this character are like. They're good, but they're mostly used for things like strings, which we'll get to in a minute with like his magic series. His heavy normals are really what we're going to shine on and really focus on, which is things like his forward, his far C, crouching C is a good, decent anti-air if you're not really, if you need like a last second anti-air that you're not comfortable getting the DP out. But his D normals are all phenomenal. Close D, great combo starter. Far D, great poke, and same thing with crouching D. All very, very good pokes. Jumping normals and throw. Well, let's talk about throws. Throws, forward throw, hard knockdown, very handy for setting up Oki with fireballs. And back throw is just a positional throw. You can tech this one. Seems like most characters in this game, you can tech one of their throws but not the other, which is an interesting design choice, but we'll take it. Jumping normals, things like jump D is what you're mostly gonna be using. Jump B is also not bad as well. Has some crossover potential. For neutral jumps, I recommend jump B, and sometimes you'll hit people with like jump A, but that's that's usually when you're trying to buffer things like Raging Demon, which is like not bad. So keep that in mind. Well, let's get into his magic series now to activate it. So it's not it's simply if you just input like his buttons and like the way you would in like a VSAP game, Vampire, Vampire, Darkstalkers, all that jazz. It won't come out. You have to hold forward or down forward. So if you want them to activate, you gotta hold down forward and bing bang bop. Oop, I didn't get it. You get stuff like that. And you still have Pursuit as well, which is technically a special, so we'll get that in the special category. But you can really just mix and match the I recommend do down forward almost every time. There's almost no reason to go for down or forward magic series because you can go for it, but you always have to end in crouching if you want the knockdown. So you can go for like whoops. Stuff like that. But mostly, you're not really going to be going for a lot of this far forward magic series stuff, except for maybe forward C, which you can do into sweep, which is handy. At some spacings. As you can see, it's a bit finicky. But overall, that's what you're going to be going for there. But you can really just like get creative with the string. It's fun to string you're comfortable with. I like doing just, the 3-hitter. Not bad. It works from pretty much most ranges. Works from a jump in. Well, I said it works from a jump in. It can. Like that. Decent chunk of damage. Get your offense started. Get your game plan started of just being a zoning machine. And that's basically all the specials that are normals I'm going to talk about. Let's move on to specials. The Fireball. This is why you play this character. This move, Force Forward Punch, is the reason you play Demitri. Well, this and this move. Which, as you can see, has no recovery of any kind. It's got like one frame you can hit him on the ground. Which, good luck trying to hit that, especially if you make him block. It's possible. Just, be wary if you're fighting this character. They might just spam this move in your face, and it happens. Don't get too angry about it. Just, keep your head in the game. This character really thrives off getting people frustrated and annoyed. So, don't give them that privilege, that satisfaction of pissing you off. So, those are like the main specials you're going to be using, which is, DPA, Closer Forward A. You also have Bat Spin, which you can, if you hit like with the 2 hits like that, you can get stuff like this. Cheeky little blink out of the dive kick. You can do it from any arc. The light and heavy go at different angles. You can do it from a back jump, forward jump, I don't know if it crosses up. I've never really seen it, but maybe it can. But overall, this is the general idea. The one thing you may notice if you're a Samurai not Samurai Shodown, gosh, I'm still thinking about the Gendro video I made a few days ago. One thing that you may notice if you're a V-Staff guy is like, oh, why does his dash not go through you? Well, that's because it's a command normal in this game. If you do back forward or forward back BC, you get the command dash. Oops. Like that. Doing it on pad is a bit of a hassle because you gotta you can't just slide your thumb. It's very hard to slide your thumb and do this without hitting one of the downward directions and getting a fireball. So it's gonna take time, but there's a couple exploits with this move that we'll get to in the later on. And just know this move is handy. It's the way he gets his upward angle or diagonal angled dragon punch. That's how he gets it, because you can't really get it from a normal dash because they wouldn't want that, I guess. But that's the main thing you'll be using that for. And next up, we'll talk about his supers. Well, this is technically a super, but it's EX Fireball. This is like the money maker. You go for this all the time if you have it. Especially if you have max mode, you just let that stuff rip. You just do it over and over and over again. And you can do it in the air. I should mention, his fireballs can be done in the air, which is very nice. And for eagle-eyed viewers, you may have noticed I did something that you normally can't do with this character, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So, back to supers. The main one you're going to be doing is, like, you know, your EX Fireball, but you also have two Raging Demon supers, which are both very interesting. The main one, this is like the one that you're gonna get by accident all the time, which is this one, which is Midnight Bliss. Don't really worry about this one. It's the harder one to get, and it doesn't deal as much damage as his normal Raging Demon, which is this one. In my opinion, it looks a bit cooler. I know, but the whole gender bending thing's cool and all, but like just beating the crap out of your opponent and fighting them is pretty funny. Anyway, those are the two main supers that he's going to have, but then he has Exceed, which is probably the best out of all of his supers, and not including his EX, which is Demon Flare. Now, there's a couple ways to do it. The main idea is it's double crossover forward, all 4 buttons. However, if you input it that way, you may not get it. So what you have to do, and this is because the game's input reader is finicky, you have to do double crossover forward, delay, all 4 buttons. You gotta, like, do it fast, wait, and then do it. And it's also handy because you can mask it from other ways, like a back jump. Like, masking it from a jump is the main way you'll see a lot of top Dimitris do it. But also just doing it straight up, like, from, like, doing it in, like, block stun, block animation, and mashing this while doing it. But that's why, like, no one really does it raw, because it'll look really weird if you're like, huh, why is he walking at me like this? I wonder what he's trying to do. It's very obvious. So, masking it behind, like, you know, because you can do, like, air fireball stuff as well, so they don't know exactly what they're doing in that back jump for. You also can do all sorts of, like, you know, bat spin. So, it's handy in that way. But onto, like, advanced tech we'll talk about now, which is, like, the double fireball glitch, which is very important for this character. It's not required, but goodness gracious, it'll make your life a lot easier if you know how to do it. I remember when I learned this, I was like, it made my Dimitri go from, like, pretty good to, like, really good. So, as you may or may not know, Dimitri in max mode can actually have 2 fireballs on the screen. Which is interesting, but only in max mode. So you're like, man, I don't want to build up max mode. I just want to use it whenever I want. Well, guess what? You can. And it's not hard to do. It is pretty easy. So let's turn off max mode real quick, put it on normal, and just burn through this meter real quick by whiffing throw. Alright, so, simple. Do an air fireball of any kind. TK or not. Tiger Knee is great, but also just, you know, if you want to practice doing it high up in the air, that's fine too. And then do half circle forward, BC. What this will do is trick the game into thinking you're doing teleport fireball, which the game reads as a cancelable thing and is like a max cancel. So you're basically tricking the game thinking you're in max mode. And that's how you can get this. Additionally, you can do this with only heavy and EX the normal way. You can do it with other ways as well. I did a recording of this earlier, and I literally could not get the way I wanted to do it, like with the EX one. I kept getting Midnight Bliss, which is, by the way, the reason that I hate Midnight Bliss is because When you're doing this double fireball glitch, there's a good chance if you don't input the half circle forward and all 4 buttons at the right time for when you want the EX fireball, there's a chance you might just get Midnight Bliss and waste your meter and do nothing, which is very, very frustrating. So keep that in mind. So when you're doing this, just try to... Yeah, no, there it is. Hold on. Alright, we'll get it. I swear. I was doing it. I literally, like, I turned off the video, and then literally, I started getting it again. I'm like, it's the nerves, I swear. So, let's see here. I'll get it once, I swear. There we go. You can get it. It's tricky, though. So there's other ways you can do this glitch. The other way is you just manually input everything, which is doing, like, backward teleport and doing a fireball. This is the way you can get the light fireball from this as well. Just be wary about doing the input fast. So keep that in mind. But there, you can get it with light fireball. Because, like, usually there's a fireball penalty. You can only have 1 fireball on the screen. But this way you can have 2, including, you know, EX. So you can do like this. Whoops. I used to joke and say this is a tech I invented called Han canceling, doing it like this. But it's not that hard to do. And here I am getting Midnight Bliss again. There you go. But the general idea is just do it with the heavy fireball, and the main thing is, like, we'll get to this in, like, the game plan section, which is, like, when you're doing this character's, like, zoning, you gotta, like, sometimes you just gotta mix it up and just do other stuff and just do, like, half of what your fireball trap would be, just to, like, see what they do. But now into, like, general combos, like, as we mentioned earlier, you have, like, Magic Series stuff. Don't forget about Pursuit, which you can get from doing up and heavy kick. You can get it from sweep and from DP. Getting it from DP is a lot harder, especially in the corner. In fact, I got it once or twice. I haven't really practiced with it as much. Getting it mid-screen is a lot easier because the DP is, like, auto-timed. And the trick is you hold up and you press kick at the same time, because getting it otherwise, it will not cooperate. There you go. So stuff like that. So keep that in mind for a bit of free damage, but it's not free damage though. You have to worry about things like tech roll. But on some characters like Guile, for some reason, you can hit him as he rises anyway, but he can block it. So it's a very weird little interaction. It's not something you really see very often, but it is something that exists. But let's move on to, like, his, like, max mode stuff and overall, like, his media, his, like, super confirms and stuff like that. So, like, obviously you have stuff like you can just do, like, you know, close heavy DP for, like, general combos. You can also just do close heavy fireball for a bit of EX fireball for a chunk of damage. But now, when it comes to, like, his max mode combos, he has some pretty cool stuff, actually. One of these things I'm not brave enough to learn. It's too difficult, and I'll put a video in the description of a guy who, like, shows off how to do it with, like, hand cam and everything. He does it on stick. It's crazy. So the general idea is you do button, long cut DP, BC. Everything about this character that's broken involves this silly little command dash he has. But you notice I'm teleporting forward. And so you can cancel that teleport forward into a DP like that. Unlike the Gendro video, I'm not going to go and try to hit this to completion. I'm going to just say this is how you can do it. Keep it in mind. It's very hard to do. If you're worried about landing cool maximal combos with Demitri, though, I'm your guy, because you have another combo. This was in the SNK official combo video. This combo is, like, probably one of my favorites in the game. It's pretty simple. It's corner only. It's a bit character specific, but on most characters, with the exception of Gendro, because he falls fast for some reason, you get it like this. Whoops. So you get 2 fireballs like that, and if you're at half health, you get EX Exceed Fireball at the end. It is a TOD if you land a jump in on some characters, like Choi, Zero, and Akuma. But the odds of landing this combo in the corner are pretty tricky, not impossible. But it is certainly something you can keep an eye out for. Mid-screen, you get stuff like this. And sometimes, because this game is funny like that. Wow, I can't believe I actually hit that. You can get that. It's very hard to get mid-screen because the fireball is like a weird RNG bounce lag input eating thing involved with it. So if you want to just get Exceed mid-screen and not worry about the EX Fireball, you can do this. Let's see if I can get this. You can get it in the corner as well. This is a bit harder. I don't really practice this one as much. There we go. You get a little that at the end as well if you do it in the corner. So keep that in mind. You have this character is very he's not the most versatile in terms of combos, but he has, you know, certainly more so than old Genjo over there. Old Genjo that I talked about in the last video. Your magic series and overall just your ability to hit people with, you know, decent metered strings is is very handy. Now, on to his general matchups and game plan. Well, we'll start with game plan, because that's way more important. Is that you can kind of go for stuff like Fireball, Heavy Fireball, if it's like a Fireball trap on meaty. Like if they try to front step and jump, they'll get caught by the second Fireball. You can also go for stuff like, you know, Fireball Glitch, and you can just mix up your zoning. Just, you know, if you enjoy chucking fireballs, this is the character for you. It really is. You can kind of just do stuff like that. You know, throw out your pokes, try to like check them with certain ranges. Don't be afraid to just do dash up DP, or just, you know, if you're trying to farm meter. This builds a decent chunk of meter. Hold on, let me just yeah, this character actually builds meter like crazy, by the way. He builds a lot of meter. So if I just like burn my meter all the way out, let's just do this. Alright. Like, just whiffing DP, it doesn't build a lot, but like it's very fast and very safe. Alternatively, you can also do stuff like this. Builds a bit more meter, especially if it hits them. But the general idea is that this character is a great zoner, and just a great Shoto in general. A lot of his issues come from things like, well, I'll mention this now that I've basically explained his game plan, which is just throw the Fireball and anti-air them when they jump, which is basically his whole game plan. But, oh, and, you know, use Bat Spin for repositioning and cheeky combos, and you can get easy pickups off your jump-ins with Magic Series. But I will show you the reason that I recommend people, you know, if they have a friend that plays Chun-Li, be careful playing Demitri, as I'm about to show you something that this is not for the faint of heart. I'm sorry for all Demitri fans. So if Chun-Li ever lands something like a DP or a super, this happens. And this is an infinite. It is not hard to do. You do either launcher and just match heavy lightning legs, and Demitri is dead. There's nothing you can do about it once they start. It's long and painful. Not to mention, Chun-Li easily ducks under most of Dimitri's fireballs. So, be wary. This is not a good matchup. This is the one character where I'm like, ooh, be careful into Chun-Li. Chun-Li is one of those characters. Other ones that I worry about are characters like, where is Demitri? Characters like Zero, Orochi, Iori. These are the main, like, this short, Choi, but no one plays Choi, so you don't really gotta worry about that one. But he plays well into, like, pretty much every Shoto and every character that doesn't have Fireball. Mai is another annoying one, but Mai is, like, a bit more doable. Guile is another tough one. Because he just kind of outzones you. But that's the general idea with this character. He's not, you know, like I mentioned, he's a great beginner character. Let me look at my list and make sure I'm not missing anything that I haven't. Because talked about tier placement, supers, normals, matchups, counterplay. Counterplay! Well, I already kind of mentioned counterplay, which is like, pick a short character. Keep that in mind. You know, be wary of, like, you know, his DP has upper body invuln, but not lower body invuln and stuff like that. I've done so many recordings of this video, I don't know what I've talked about in every single one. Like, have I talked about the fact that, like, he makes, like, you know, he can, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, how, like, you know, you can TK this easy, like, just do a nice, slow, upward angled, deep fireball, and you get that. I probably did, but anyway, just reiterating. But overall, this is a, he's a great character, and we're reaching the end of this video now. I feel like I've kind of talked about everything I want to talk about, which is, I think, you know, let me think for a brief moment. But pretty much, let me just ramble while I do it. He's, you know, one of the cooler boss characters, and I should probably briefly go into detail, like, you know, this character is tournament legal in most rule sets, and I'm not talking about the rule set that allows everyone. In most rule sets, if the character was allowed or available in the arcade version, they can be played in tournament play, because they were intended to be played by devs. Characters like Shinakuma, Red Armor, Athena, and, you know, Serious Mr. Karate, while cool, are very not intended to be played by humans. They were not in the arcade version, the same way that I don't think a CVS2 player would want to have to fight Evil Ryu, Omega Rugal, or sorry, God Rugal, Shinakuma, or Orochi Iori. They were just not in the arcade version. They weren't intended to be played by people in that sense. But Demitri has a code. And in the, on the bootleg on Fightcade, it's easily selectable. And on the Steam versions and modern ports of this game, is easily selectable as well. I should probably briefly mention how to pick him if you don't know how. You just see me do it. You've had, first off, go to your menu and make sure you go to controller. And to see your hidden player button, for me, it's left bumper. So keep that in mind. From there, you can easily select these boss characters, which are all in the front row. These 6, or these 8, I should say, are the ones you can play in tournament. But anyway, don't feel afraid if you want to mess around with these ones with your friends. Just know that these 2 are just absolute war crimes, and I hate them. And if you play me with them, I will not take you seriously. Anyway, a little offshoot there about, character legality and stuff like that, but the general idea is that this video is over. And that, like I mentioned in the last video, I just hope that I can get 1 or 2 people to sort of appreciate this character and learn a bit about him and, cool stuff they didn't know previously. Hopefully, I don't end this recording and go, oh man, I forgot to talk about blank. But if I did, let me know in the comments and I'll make an addendum, like I will for Gendro at some point if enough people, if anyone actually has anything to say. But that's all for me, and you know what? Go out there and play some SVC Chaos.